PH table. So Loretta got us the table from some organization that didn't show up. So she gave us the table, and we moved over to the table. And by that time, I brought some cookies and a fact sheet. This board didn't come in yet until Nadine got here. Thank you, Nadine. But one particular, my experience was one particular lady that I spoke with, she came over and she was attracted by the cookies. So she said, oh, what is this? What are you guys doing? And all that good stuff that she wanted to know. And of course, she went to go take some cookies. That's what she really came over there for. And I asked her, does she know what transgender people, who they are and what they do? What do you know about them? And she said, she don't know much, but she referred to them as transvestites. So I informed her that that's not the proper term and all that stuff. And I explained to her the different health disparities that transgender people face, such as there's no doctors that would treat them, or domestic violence, and the suicide rates and stuff like that. And she goes on to asking me questions. She said, well, these people have to have doctors that treat them and they have to explain, when they're filling out these forms, they have to tell the physicians who they really are, what's their born gender, if that's the right term, or gender identity. And she's telling me that because if you're a man, if you were born a man and you're now a trans woman, you have to let them know because of internal problems that they may face. So she's telling me that, and I'm just giving her information, and I asked her what else does she know about transgender people, and she said that, well, all transgender people have reconstructive surgery. And I explained to her that's not necessarily true, that not all of them have reconstructive surgery. And by the end of me explaining to her what I knew, of course I told her that we're not experts, we're just giving information based off of what we learned. She changed her attitude. And she was like, I don't support them, but I will sign it. She was like, I do respect them. She was like, everyone deserves to be treated equally. So she said she do not support it, but she will respect them, and she did sign the petition.
That's good. Wow.
And by the time I got there, this woman showed up.
What time is it?
Yeah. 3:30. Like 3:30. So I got there, and there's this woman there asking Tiffany about what it was all about. So Tiffany just handed it over to me. I explained everything, and then she was like, "Oh, they're the same people as the gay people and lesbians," and I had to break everything down to them. She actually didn't know what LGBT meant, so I explained everything to her, and then she just looked at me and she asked for a jelly food thing. She took one, and then she finally signed it. And then kind of the woman, she actually knew what the gender bill was all about, because she worked in a senator, so she also signed it too. So it was just kind of interesting to have a group of people not actually being ignorant about the stuff going on, but I thought it was something pretty big that everybody should know something about it. So yeah.
So at this time, it's around 4 o'clock, I believe, where the health fair was now moved from the gym to the lobby of this building. So the board, I brought the board in time, you know, the board together. So we transitioned where the pictures form in the lobby. Those are pictures in the lobby. I don't think I'm on there, but as far as my experience, there was actually a group of students from the International High School from Prospect Heights. And I had the pleasure of actually speaking with them. And the interesting thing is that they were familiar with the term transgender. So when I prompted them, I asked them, well, tell me a little bit about what you know about the transgender. They knew that, they were familiar. So I started explaining to them about the gender bill, what does it mean, and why it impacts them. And then again, they were seniors getting ready to graduate from high school, I guess maybe they were coming to LIU. So that information was good. And then Linda was also around, so I had Linda explain the C.C. McDonald, that story, and they were interactive. And again, food, what we realized is that food is an attraction to everything. So any type of candy, food, or whatever, that's good. And when we transitioned to the lobby downstairs, we were actually next to the diabetes table. So we were also interacting with the people from the, you know, that was doing the diabetic thing. So, right, and then Camille also talked, and I actually talked with one other person, and again, she seemed like she was familiar, so I guess, you know, I was just listening and the interactive conversation, and then Camille, I don't know who.
I came across one female who's actually looking to go to, I think, the diabetes seminar that they were having. So as she was passing through, I kind of grabbed her, and I asked her if she knew about transgender, and she knew about the term, but she wasn't familiar with all of the other terms that are included underneath it. So I kind of went through a little bit about that. She was very interested, actually, and she wanted to even know where she could find more information. So I gave her a fact sheet that we had on the table and told her, you know, just go online. This is what I was able to look up, because even before we started working on the project and for class, I wasn't aware of, you know, all the information that's out there. So I pointed her to where I looked. In addition to my experience that I had here, I actually had an experience outside of class that morning before the health fair. I actually spoke to a good friend of mine who I've known to have a slight discomfort with the LGBT community, but I was basically giving a rundown of what my day was going to be, and I spoke about I'm going to an outreach project for gender. So I said, you know, don't be a little uncomfortable, but he said, actually, I'm more sensitive towards the topic now because he actually works for a school that has emotionally disabled kids, and there's actually a child who actually changed from, who came in as a male, and they eventually within a year had to call him by a female name. And this 9-year-old child who actually went to the mom and said, Mom, I think God made a mistake with me. And said, I think I was supposed to be a female and not a male. And we got into this conversation, you know, how the mom had to come in. She had to basically have meetings with all the staff to get everyone on board and become sensitive to her child. Well, yeah, so, and I asked him also, what about the rest of the kids in the school? Was anyone just, you know, uncomfortable? Is it for some reason because they were all emotionally disabled kids, no one ever really paid attention. So that child actually ended up, you know, using the female bathroom in no problem without having any other child, you know, having into it. So that was pretty interesting in addition to my experience.